Good afternoon. You're listening to Brian Masse here, and it is hot out there. And another hot topic that we have is the Gordie Howe International Bridge and Canada-U.S. relations in general. But I want to talk to the real workers that are there too, and thank to the workers that have built the bridge. Most importantly, they are the ones that have been at this for so long. But then we have the workers that have worked the bridge, and so I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Weber, President of Customs Immigration Union from Ottawa. Mark, thank you very much for joining us today.
Anytime. Pleasure, Brian. Hope you're well.
It has been good, and happy late Canada Day. And we were wandering on this side. I'm similar with many of your workers. We come up to the 250th anniversary of the U.S. coming up to this on July 4th.
Yep.
So kind of what's in terms of the Gordie Howe, we're still waiting, and we're seeing now that it's taken place in terms of an election issue on the U.S. side. I was just referencing a few of the different Senate candidates that the Democrats are having in Michigan, raising the closure of the Gordie. But what's it on the Canadian side when it comes to a Customs Immigration Union? The members ready? How ready are we on the Canadian side to get this thing rolling?
I mean, we could open today. There were opening ceremonies that were planned that were canceled at the last minute. This is, clearly very political. We have the staff. We're 100% ready to go at any time.
And what would that construct be like in terms of the staff? Is that detector dogs as well? And is it, people that have been specifically assigned to the Gordie Howe Bridge itself, or are they kind of been pulled from other areas? What's taken place to get to the point we are?
Yeah, the staff for the Gordie Howe has been hired. They're now, until it opens, they're working elsewhere in the Southern Ontario region, detector dog team. When I say everything is ready, absolutely everything is ready to go. The people are hired. We're just waiting to get the thumbs up to start working.
And what's it take for those that don't know to become a Customs Immigration Union worker? How does that process start, and how does it kind of culminate to where you actually get your location that you're assigned?
Yeah, it's a fairly lengthy process. You're applying centrally. It's quite a waiting list to get into the college. You've got 18 weeks at the college in Rigaud, Quebec. Then you've got about a 1-year essentially apprenticeship before you're a full border services officer. So this is, getting the staff in place for the GIB has been worked on and planned for a long time.
And there must be some also excitement if you're, you're wanting to be part of that opening and then having to kind of cool your jets, so to speak, and go to other areas. I guess the only good thing is that you have been understaffed over the last number of years, so maybe perhaps people are catching up on some vacations. I don't know what's happening on that front, but
some of the other ports, it helps a little bit. The frustration I hear more so, now with what we're seeing coming out of, some House Republicans talking about the Canadian border being a source of drugs and how porous things are. Numbers don't lie. It's very clear that there's a lot of untruths being spoken, and it's hard for our members to hear that. They work really hard. They're well trained. They're dedicated. They take pride in the work that they do. To have our borders described that way is it's difficult to hear. On the one hand, you understand, it's politics, but this is not politics like we've seen before. These are flat out lies. A lot of the things that are being said, right? And unfortunately, when it comes from elected leaders, a lot of people believe it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I took offense when, you remember, Janet Napolitano was accusing Canada of being weak on the border, and that was a Democrat. All you have to do is look at south of the United States and see their Mexican border and the difference between the south, and they often try to use as a political wedge, saying that the northern border is the same as the southern border when it's not.
Yeah, it's hard to hear, right? Tough comparison to make. And again, numbers don't lie. The DEA itself has come out and said that Canada is not a source country for anything that they're currently saying we are a source of.
Yeah, well, they never let the facts get in argument.
No.
So in terms of the new Gordie Howe Bridge, in terms of the operations and what's different though about we have that bridge now that's been designed in more recent times with the technology and also too the way that it's structured. Different than, say, the Ambassador Bridge, which is, always having to react for, basically over 100 years, has limited space and whatnot. What's the difference at the Gordie Howe Bridge in terms of the worker that's going to be there?
I mean, made to purpose. My understanding is everything is top of the line. There's consultation when it was being built in terms of exactly what we needed for dangerous goods to be transported. I mean, just the ability to keep, the community safe, to not have to have people driving on that main road going into Windsor will be huge, right? It's a big deal. It is beautiful. It is breathtaking. I really can't wait for people to be able to use it and see what we've achieved. And again, 100% built with Canadian money, right?
Yeah,
Important
no,
to keep
absolutely.
stressing that.
Well, every day that's another cost that we're incurring. And ironically, the government still has an order in council allowing the Ambassador Bridge to expand its plaza, which they haven't rescinded yet, which I've challenged in the past before. But at any rate, there's no doubt that that's going to continue to be something that they could act on. Now, when it comes to the workers, again, in a detector dog, what goes in terms of creating that as an entity for security? That's one of the things that I had a high degree interest in. I went out to actually Vancouver and, was very, lucky to be taken around by a detector dog team that showed me, basically how they clear off freighters and so forth. What goes into creating a detector dog team?
Yeah, and I mean, they are an absolute must. No border can really work well without them. They're beautiful, well-trained animals. To become a dog handler, you are a border services officer first, and for the most part, you are for quite a few years before you can get a position like that. But that's a lot of additional training. That's a very, very close relationship between the dog and the trainer. An absolutely essential tool for us.
Well, I think that my memory serves me correct, there was one at the Ambassador Bridge Piper and retired with the trainer. If my memory serves me correct, that actually the dog actually retired with the handler.
That happens. Yeah, I mean it's a tool, but it's not a tool. It's a living being that reacts differently to different people, and some work better with others, and it's a very close bond. It's a close relationship, and I think you need that for the team to work well, right?
Yes. And so taking out the local equation right here, right now, what's the latest challenges for across Canada, U.S. And the border, and in terms of the Customs Immigration Union being able to be effective at the border? What's the latest in terms of, we've really focused a lot here on Windsor, but what's nationally taking place in different places?
Yeah, I mean, staffing, the government announced hiring 1,000 new officers, good, and we are seeing recruits coming through the college, but given the time that it takes to fully train an officer, that's going to take time to get those numbers up. So we do have ports of entry that are significantly short-staffed. One of the big things happening now is the return to office, right? We had a lot of workers, a lot of positions that aren't working right at the border that were able to work from home or work remotely more than they can right now. Currently, the government is forcing people back into the office 4 days a week, often in cases where they don't even necessarily have adequate office space. Yeah. Where really the job, the government has been lauding how well the job has been being done remotely. Now to force people to go back into work, I mean, you're really taking money out of people's pockets needlessly. This work was being done in many cases, like I said, better away from the office than at the office. We're estimating the government is spending about $6 billion in building costs. That's not just CBSA, but government-wide on office space that they really don't need.
Yeah, well, especially you have so many different departments across Canada. You must have hundreds of locations that you have to deal with.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And this is work that, again, has been being done so well remotely, often hybrid, sometimes at the office, sometimes away from the office. But I mean, it's what's coming in the future. We're going to see more and more and more remote work. Unfortunately, the government seems to be kind of moving backwards on this one.
So one question I do have is, as we wrap up here, is that I know that technology was often seen as the savior to some of the improvements that are necessary, but what, is the difference, though, between technology and boots on the ground for, the Gordie Howe and for other crossings where you hopefully get better security versus that of more reliance on technology? That's the challenge that you must face as a union leader, but also too as somebody has to look at the field operations.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, technology is great. We need it. We need the X-ray machines. Even some of what's being proposed in terms of analytics and what can be used to kind of create profiles and look at things that are perhaps more interest for us to search, but you still need that human being there to make the decision, to do the search, to interpret body language, to do the questioning. Worst case scenario, we get to what exists in most of our major airports now, is where there's virtually no human interaction at all anymore. You go to a machine, you self-declare, a card gets spit out, you hand in the card to one person because you've declared nothing, and for the most part, out the door you go, right?
Yep.
Unfortunately, smugglers don't ever self-declare that they're smuggling.
Yeah.
So, when the person isn't there, that system breaks down really quickly.
Yeah, no, and that leads to the arguments that are false and phony, but they can be embellished from our American counterparts to push us on the border by using that as an excuse. I've heard that before.
I agree, yeah, and it's something we really, we can have the people with an extra 1,000, and you use the technology in the background to perhaps assist more so than it does now. We have the people to be able to do those searches. You just need to focus on wanting to do it, right? I think we can get there. Well,
I hope we can get there. In the next stages, I get to this Gordie Howe International Bridge opening. I say, I wasn't invited to the ceremony, so my buddy called me up and said, let's kayak under it. And so we did that anyways, even when it didn't open. We kayaked under the bridge. So I can tell you, I had a good view from underneath the bridge.
I think you should do that when it does open. I cannot wait to see that, Brian.
There you go.
And if you hear anything, you let me know, because we're not hearing.
Yeah, I know. And that's a good point, is that you're not hearing anything as well either, eh?
We are getting a managerial briefing the day before saying, be ready tomorrow, and then it's canceled. So.
Yeah, that's not just open the thing. We don't need ribbon cuttings anyways. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll hopefully see you down here touring the bridge sometime.
Sounds great. Can't wait. Take care, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mark Weber, president of the Customs Immigration Union, and what they're going through in terms of the drama of the Gordie Howe International Bridge, which, by the way, on the U.S. side is known as the Delray Bridge. That's what they call it on the U.S. side because it lands in Delray, Michigan. You're listening to Brian Masse on AM800.